I'm Paula Blair and this is Audiovisual Cultures, the podcast that explores and highlights different aspects of cultural production. This edition comes to you from the NewcastleGateshead Late Shows, an annual weekend when cultural venues stay open late and put on special activities to get people out and sampling and engaging in the city's cultural life. As you'll hear, I spent the evening in Commercial Union House and had the great fortune to meet and speak to Claire Murphy-Morgan from Monkfish Productions, Rachel Brooke from Good Space, Pauline Taylor and Alice Stewart from Room for You, performer Mariae Smiarowska and poet Jenni McDermott. I'll begin at the end with my reflections as I trundled home that night. So I'm just heading home from the Late Shows. I've had quite a long day today on Saturday the 18th of May 2019. Just a very quick shout out because this show's about the Late Shows, but I did attend a Reclaim the Frame bird's eye view event this afternoon as well, showing Pájaros de Verano, or Birds of Passage, Colombian film based on the true story of the rise of drug cartels in Colombia in the 1970s. It's a really amazing film, it's really worth your time. So the focus tonight was really on the Late Shows, and I suppose I went out hoping to vox pop in quite a few venues, but I mean, as usual with the Late Shows, I haven't managed to leave Customs Union House because there's just so much amazing stuff going on there. So I might pick up a few more interviews at a later date. What's represented on these few recordings is really just the tiniest snapshot of what was going on across NewcastleGateshead. I suppose this is NewcastleGateshead's version of Culture Night, because they don't do Culture Night here, which is usually in September across many places, and instead they do the Late Shows once a year in May. Usually on a Friday they have it in Ousbourne, which is in the east of Newcastle, and on the Saturday focusing on Newcastle upon Tyne and Gateshead. You've got the big hitting venues like the Baltic Centre for Contemporary Arts, and the Tyneside Cinema usually does something. Even City Library, they had a silent disco tonight, and they had some live music earlier in the night as well. And art galleries like The Side had something on, but I didn't manage to get down there. Yeah, so I just hope that the few people that I managed to speak to tonight, I hope that gives a bit of a taster and you've got an idea. There's such a rich cultural tapestry in Newcastle, and it's just great to be able to speak to even just a few of those people who exemplify that. And hopefully these are people who will get on again and speak to at more length, and also to the people I didn't manage to speak to, hopefully will lead to other podcasts in the future. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so very much to everybody who's contributed their voice. It's really lovely to be able to get you out there. Claire, would you be happy to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Claire Murphy-Morgan. I'm the Artistic Director for Monkfish Productions, and we're a small arts organisation based at Good Space here in Commercial Union House in Newcastle.
We're all out here for the Late Shows. What kind of things are you doing, and what are Monkfish doing tonight for the Late Shows?
Well, Monkfish is part of a workspace community called Good Space, and Good Space is on floor 2 and floor 5 of Commercial Union House, and we're a working community, so we provide accessible and affordable space for community organisations, arts organisations and small charities to work in close proximity with each other. The space is operated by a company called Northern Creative Solutions. Good Space has a membership programme, so all of the organisations that are based here are member organisations, so it's very much about building a workspace community where we can come together and where we can collaborate with each other, share ideas, and lots of tea and cake as well.
And so are you doing some stuff together tonight with other people?
We are. So Good Space is hosting Late Shows here, and Monkfish is part of the Good Space community. So the project tonight is about diversity, inclusion and self-awareness. So it's very much core to the kind of ethos of what Good Space is about. And Monkfish is hosting a word space where people are invited to come into a space pick a word out of a hat, any word at random, to do with the theme of diversity or inclusion, and either write or draw something in response to that word. It can be anything at all, anything that comes to mind, as random, as abstract or as obvious as they like, and then that's going to go onto a big canvas, if you like, of all the ideas that have come together, and hopefully we'll be able to take some of those ideas and make a piece of work from them, which will be hopefully hosted here in Good Space.
And so while you're on the spot, what would your response be to diversity?
I think diversity is about making sure that all sorts of adjustments and preparations are made to include everybody. I think people confuse diversity with equality. I think they are mutually supportive of each other, but they are different, and diversity is about that dignity of difference and learning from each other as a result of that, of everybody having their own unique contribution to make.
Does Monkfish have anything coming up in the future that you'd like to put a quick plug in for?
Monkfish has just completed a big site-specific programme of work working with artists in new and unusual spaces in and around Gateshead that you wouldn't normally have seen artists popping up in, and we're hoping that in the autumn we're going to be picking that up in Gateshead and developing more work and developing our programme of site-specific working.
If people want to find out a bit more, where should we direct them?
You can go to our website, is www.monkfishproductions.org, or you can check us out on Facebook, and we're also on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Thank you very much and have a brilliant night.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Brooke. I'm a host here at Good Space, and I am creative producer on the Late Shows project, which is where we are tonight.
Good Space is doing quite a lot, hosting quite a lot tonight for the Late Show, so what would your role be?
So my role on the Late Shows at Good Space was initially to come up with a concept and work with our participants, volunteers, members and our wider community to create multiple interactive spaces. So the initial idea that I was thinking about is based around doing something that would be organic improvisation, giving people the tools to be creative and use those tools to have one final piece of work or multiple final pieces of work at the end of the evening. And then out of that we came up with the theme of self-awareness for diversity, and that theme has essentially come from a lot of conversations and a lot of interactions that I've had recently and that many of my colleagues and peers have had recently around being part of society, being part of a public space, being part of a community, and how it feels when self-awareness isn't considered and how and when that might need to be adapted for diversity. So that might be anything from, I might have a loud conversation on the telephone on the bus, and that loud conversation on the telephone might cause multiple people to have a response that is negative.
Yeah.
And I could come away from that and think, oh wow, I had a loud conversation on the bus. That was really inconsiderate of me. But what I could also think is, what are the experiences of every other person on that bus, and what else might be going on in their lives that mean that, what seems like just a loud conversation is actually so much more, and how that affects them. Does my loud conversation affect someone's entire day?
Yeah.
Has somebody had, a bereavement or a bad breakup, or does somebody have anxiety or depression or a learning disability or special educational needs, and how does that additionally affect them? And so the overall idea is to get everyone who comes through the door to just think a little bit more about how they are in public. For this mural that we're currently sitting at right now, I did a Venn diagram which is self and other, and in the middle I've just left a question mark, because how do we self-care, how do we be mindful, how do we consider ourselves and also consider other people? And it's a very complex space, and it's not something that we can approach easily or in a straightforward way. But I feel that, you know, the more that you think about it, the more that you're able to find some balance in life. And I hope that everyone who comes here tonight goes away and thinks a little bit more about that.
So it's a really nice idea doing the murals, and there's a few of them dotted around.
Yeah, so we've got a mural, we've got a zine, and the mural, we're just inviting anyone to contribute anything, any idea. We've got dictionary definitions up around on the walls for self-awareness and for diversity. We've got lots of visual aids to encourage people to think about what's happening in the space and how they can contribute creatively, whether they want to contribute a word or an image or a feeling or an idea. And there's multiple ways that they can do that. They can do that through sound. So we have a room with a synthesizer, a guitar, a keyboard, and multiple percussion instruments and lots of different things that people can pick up and shake and make sounds with, and even some children's toys. There's a children's book that has sound effects on it, which has gone down very well, actually. In the zine workshop, we've had that table's been busy the whole night. People are really getting into it and contributing, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of that. We have a word room, which essentially we're giving people the opportunity to pick up a word, select a word out of a hat, or bring their own word to the table if they wish, and then they can draw an image or they can write something. They contribute something to a collective piece of wall art, I guess it will eventually become once although at the moment we're still open to what the final outcome of each piece of work will be, how it'll end up being used and how we will exhibit it. And same with the zine, you know, we may end up with multiple zines, we may have, you know, end up with 5 different theme zines all around, you know, the one idea. And then we've got a performance room as well, and in the performance room we have, essentially it's asking the question of inclusion and should everybody be included? How do we ensure that everyone is included? And the absurdity of ideas of inclusion in spaces that are utopia. The thing that I took away from it, because I've been into every space and participated when I've had a few minutes, and I think that the biggest thing that came to me from that space was this idea of how absurd it is to even imagine that one could enter into utopia, and what red tape is involved in entering into utopia, and do I have to, you know, what is the criteria for entering into utopia? And it's very thought-provoking. It really made me think about, you know, times that I've queued for things and times that I've waited in line for something, and it kind of has to be experienced. And I'm so blown away by it that I want to talk with her about how we can set it up elsewhere and have some sort of performance installation that we can take around to other venues and other spaces. So hopefully there'll be more. The performer's name is Mariae Smiarowska, and she's not long been in Newcastle, and meeting her has given me this ability to open my mind up a lot with regards to performance and performance art, and to how we can use our minds and our bodies and our voices to express and create and feel and heal as well. Finally, I haven't mentioned the silence room.
Oh,
yes, the silence room.
It's a bit awkward to do a recording in there.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about the silence room is the main goal that we had with the silence room was to have an audio recording.
Yeah.
What we started doing was putting out clipboards with paper and pens and giving people the opportunity to pose questions and ruminate and think about what silence is. And the response from that has been overwhelming, actually. We're really excited by how much content we've gotten from that. So we've got something else that we can maybe continue this project and this idea into something else, or recreate in a different space. But the overall idea with that is that, can we ever achieve silence? And even when there's silence, there's always silence allows noise to come through. And I think that room seems to be going down very well as well. They come in a bit unsure, and you know, it's a bit intimidating, but actually once people start to experience it and I think you can always see it click in people's heads. They're like, not sure what's going on, should I come in here? We gesture for them to come in, you know.
It's about gesture,
non-verbal
communication.
Exactly, which again, you know, is another way of us thinking about how to bring diversity into self-awareness. One other thing that's really important to add is that with the theme, one of the more crucial aspects of preparation for the event was making sure that we would be as accessible as possible for all diversities, and we have been working with Midnight Memphis, who is an access coordinator and also works for Dementia Friends, so she is very clued up on how to consider as many requirements to ensure that people of all diversities can be included in an event like this. So we've got things like noise cancelling headsets, we've got some safe spaces, we've got opportunities for people to participate, but anyone who just wants to observe, that's fine. We're not going to make anyone feel uncomfortable. We've got lots of comfy space where people can come and sit down, have a cup of tea, relax. And seeing that being used and seeing people be able to relax and feel, I guess, both safe here and at home here is really, really important. We've learned a lot in the preparation process as well, and a lot of things that we'll continue to consider when we're running the space in all of the different ways that we use it going forward.
Is there anything you'd like to say about Good Space more generally, just if anybody wants information on what it actually is?
Yeah. Here at Good Space we have meeting rooms, office spaces and co-working spaces. The office spaces are used by members who are lots of small charities, social enterprises, charitable organisations, and by them all being here together, we're creating a community that allows them to interact and inspire and support and have a community space to do their work, to execute their work. Because a lot of these charitable organisations are one or two people, Good Space allows them to have peers and colleagues. We have things like group tea breaks and special lunches and opportunities for people to come out of their offices and sit down and have a cup of tea and a chat. But what we also have is meeting rooms which are incredibly affordable, I think the most affordable in Newcastle. And what that means is that small charities, small activist groups, community groups, people who want to get together, hold meetings, hold anything from training to creative events, that they can come and rent our spaces for a very, very reasonable price, which means that we are essentially ensuring that people aren't being priced out of doing good. I probably can't name GDPR. I probably won't be able to say who uses the space, but the range of people that come through that door is quite astounding. And my day-to-day job as host means that I get to meet some really brilliant, interesting, fascinating people who are all incredibly inspiring and also, diverse personalities. And that's a really great thing. And it makes me, I love my job. I love working here and I hope to be here for a really long time. And then a co-working space, which again is incredibly affordable. And if we have some regular co-workers, some people who come in a couple of times a month, the kind of launch of the co-working space has been quite soft since we've been here, and we're gradually building up the numbers of co-workers, and we run sort of periods of time where we have free co-working on certain days and things like that. But basically, if anyone wants to know anything more, you can email hosts at northerncreativesolutions.co.uk. Northern Creative Solutions is the name of the charity that runs Good Space.
Great.
Thank you very much.
I'm Pauline Taylor and I am the coordinator for Room for You.
I'm Alice Stewart. I'm one of the counsellors who works for Room for You.
Could you tell us a bit about what Room for You is and the ideas around arts and health?
Yeah, well, it's an arts and health project, as you've said. We're called Room for You because we're really making space and time for people. And we have a programme that works in different hospitals throughout the North East. So we're working in Gateshead, we're working in Newcastle, and we've been working recently in Sunderland. In each venue, we place an artist and a counsellor working together. And that's a bit of a unique approach because what we get there is we can offer an artwork, we can offer an opportunity for people to join in and do something. But alongside that, we've got someone who's really able to listen and talk and help the patients and their families who are there. And we probably need to ask Alice a bit more about that because that's her role.
It is. As the counsellor, my role is I encourage patients and companions to create some work while they're talking about what they're going through and why they're in hospital. As a counsellor, often we make a conversation safe in a hospital setting because sometimes patients, they don't feel that they can talk about what they're going through safely with their own family members, and often having a therapeutic input with art on the side at the same time, it can help patients to talk about what's really happening for them, because sometimes it's quite hard, sometimes they're very ill and they enjoy that space and time to talk.
Is it okay to ask what kinds of arts projects you do with patients and what kinds of patients you're working with?
Well, we have a range of different artists who work in the different venues, and they each bring a variety of projects and different skills that they've got. So off the top of my head, we do quite a bit of silk painting. We've made proggy mats in the past. We do wire sculpture. Give us a few more. What else have we got?
Needle felting.
Needle felting, yes, that's a good one.
Things with driftwood and cut-up maps, paper collage, tissue collage, fabric collage.
Some sort of knitting and crochet skills as well, because actually we're trying to pick up, and I think we do pick up on something that somebody said one week. And we start to think together, and the team, the artist and the council say, oh, so-and-so mentioned this, perhaps we could do that. So actually I think it's developmental. Sometimes we are sort of commissioned by a hospital to make a piece for a corridor or for a waiting room or something like that. And that gives us a starting point and a size to work to and a way of encouraging people to join in. Because sometimes we're making individual pieces that people take away, the little pieces of needle felting perhaps, but sometimes we're working on a larger piece, a joint piece of work, which is going to be there in, say, the day room or something that people are going to see when they go and sit with their families. And it's, again, the content of it is quite interesting. We've done quite a bit of work using the meaning behind different flowers. So one of our artists did some work where she read up about what different flowers meant and looked at things like heartsease, which is a type of primula or viola, but its name is heartsease. It's meant to ease the heart. And, and lots of herbs, lots of things like that we can incorporate those into the work, and that gives you another talking point, doesn't it?
Would you like to just say what you're doing here for the late shows tonight?
All right. So Room for You is based, we have a small office in Good Space in Commercial Union House, and when we heard about the late shows we thought this is a great chance for us to meet lots of people, and there have already been people coming in to the room, to the building, finding out about our exhibition. We've got an exhibition planned for the month of June. It's going to be in Newcastle City Library, opens on the 1st of June and it's on for about 3.5 weeks. And it's going to tell the story of Room for You. Our plan is that we're showing some of the artworks, but it's not just about the artwork, it's about how we work. It's about how people develop and how we can help, if we can help, how we can help people through the difficult times that they have.
And I think to reiterate, isn't it about the unique way that we work, that it's a qualified artist and a trained counsellor. We don't really know of many projects that are working in that way.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much.
Is that enough for
That's
you?
brilliant.
Enough
Yeah,
there?
thank you
Great.
so much. Yes.
No, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
That's great.
All right, here we go. Ready? We are starting the recruitment process now. Okay. Everybody, I want you to think of one excellent reason why you would be a fantastic member of our wonderful new society, Utopia.
My name is Mariae Smiarowska, and I'm a Polish-American actor, performer, and singer. I came to Newcastle about a year ago, but I've kind of been traveling in between a few places. But I've kind of been based here. I just came back from a tour I was doing with a company called Theatre Sans Frontières, which is based in Hexham. And they do shows in various languages, so in a way that's kind of connected, isn't it, to diversity? Yeah, and I worked with them years, like 12, 13 years ago, and they do a very physical and visual type of theatre. And so we just finished a tour in French, all over schools, north and south and middle, all of England. Yeah, it went really well. I came back about a month and a half ago. And yeah, just settling in and trying to find, new projects and work on things.
For the late shows tonight, you've been trying to get people to Utopia.
I have indeed. Yes, I thought, what's kind of a performative way to bring this idea across? And I had a million ideas. I couldn't decide on one. And in the end, I thought, why don't we try to take people to, first I thought heaven, and then I thought maybe that's not open enough. And then I thought maybe paradise. And I thought, no, let's just go for Utopia. And it was actually great because it engendered a lot of interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were in one of the ones where, so it opened up a lot of discussion, which was fabulous. And I had no idea what to expect because I've not actually done performative art before. I've done, kind of acting in a play where it's mostly set. Things can be improvised, but not usually. So this was kind of a new challenge and quite exciting, I must say, because I didn't know what to expect. And some people obviously didn't want to participate, and I didn't want to force them. But some people were very open and came in, and it was like, oh wow, this is such a cool, it's really opening up the discussion, but in a performative way.
Yeah. And so the question was, how do you even get there? Are there exclusions to Utopia?
Exactly. Well, it was like, what makes up Utopia? What is Utopia? And how do we get there? And, bringing in this theme of diversity. And some people didn't want to leave. They thought Earth was fine. So that was also interesting. It's like, why escape? why can't we fight for a better world here, which was great. It was like, oh gosh, yeah, so you had some really interesting responses. I was going, let's get away, let's get them all to Utopia, and then people were like, no. But nobody was able to go, unfortunately. Nobody was actually... Nobody qualified, so the portal didn't open and take anyone. But I think everyone got something out of it. I gave little quotes out to read and, little seeds that went in and hopefully gave people something. I hope, I don't know, but maybe something to think about and just kind of go, what is this diversity? And actually, it's a good thing. Brexit even came up in discussion. Of course. So that's what I was trying to do tonight.
Do you think you'd do this sort of thing again?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I like that it had kind of a theme, which in a way, I guess, it is a bit political, and it was nice to do something like that. I don't think I've done much of stuff that's kind of more socially engaged like this. And it's very rewarding to kind of see that open up, create kind of a discussion and a community for the moment of the performance in whatever way that is, and it's beautiful. I love doing that, actually. So definitely, yeah.
So that's you based in Newcastle then?
So that's me based in Newcastle, yeah. I'm actually working on a one-woman show I've been trying to develop for years, and the theme is kind of finding one's place on Earth, which is also a universal as well as personal theme. So I'm at the process of finding funding to get that going, and then I would like to, perform that and tour that, which is another kind of discussion opener in a way, relevant to, migration and humanity in general.
If you get it up and running and you want to talk about it again, that would be fantastic.
That would be great. Thank you. Thank you, Paula. I also run workshops based on the training I did, which was with a company called Song of the Goat Theatre in Poland. So it's a type of experimental theatre training, physical and very vocal. So it's kind of connecting body and voice. So it's working with embodied voice. And I'll be running a series of workshops here at Good Space in Commercial Union House coming up soon. I haven't got dates yet.
Do you have a website?
I don't have a website, but I have a Facebook page where I post stuff, and so I will spell that for listeners because it's not easy to... So my first name, Mariae, is spelled Mariae, and my last name is Smiarowska, so that's Smiarowska. And you can look on there, and I post, upcoming workshops or performances and stuff on there.
Excellent, thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you very much for participating.
It was great fun.
Was it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it,
Fabulous.
Hello, so my name is Jenni McDermott. I go by JM in the poetry world, and in the making world I make poems, I perform often, and here at the Late Shows I am selling my wares, which are poems, original poems that I've typed up on my typewriter, pardon the millennialism, and then I've made some tote bags, screen printed those, and I've screen printed some original prints as well, all with this fine slogan, just saying what everyone's thinking, which is make art, eat ass, which can really mean what you want it to mean. I was thinking about making a sign that said, if you're not into eating ass, not for you, what about make art great assignment, or eat classics, or something like that, to slightly change it. And we're also trying to show off our performance that we're putting on next week at the Shoe Tree Cafe, Uncle Monkey, which is on the 23rd of May at the Shoe Tree. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Do you want to direct anybody to social media or anything?
Yes. If people would like to follow me, I am Jenni_P on Instagram. I've tried to stop using Facebook, another, I guess, millennialism thing. People are trying to wean off Facebook. But you can find me there under Jenni McDermott. And I have made some business cards. There's one left, but I made those on my typewriter as well. I guess so. I like to be analog as I can, mainly because I don't have anything else. Artist life. But nonetheless, my Instagram's the best way to find me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Audiovisual Cultures with me, Paula Blair, and massive thanks to all of my guests this week: Claire Murphy-Morgan, Rachel Brooke, Pauline Taylor, Alice Stewart, Mariae Smiarowska, and Jenni McDermott. This episode was recorded and edited by Paula Blair, and the music is Common Ground by Airtone, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 and available for download from ccmixter.org. Thanks so much for listening. If you like the show and find its content useful and interesting, please help cover production and distribution costs by donating to paypal.me/PEA Blair and liberapay.com/PEA Blair. Episodes are released every other Wednesday. Please rate, share and subscribe on your chosen listening platform, as this helps others find the show. For more information, visit audiovisualcultures.wordpress.com. All of our past episodes are linked from there, and follow AV Cultures on Twitter and Facebook, and thank you so much for all your engagement on social media. Thanks to our patrons for all your continued support. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time.